That's too crooked. That won't work. There, now you're straight. Hi everyone, welcome back at Charlotte from At Charlotte's House. I am standing in the bathroom. You can't tell, but what you can see is that there are walls. I am not dealing with exposed lath. I am not dealing with crumbling plaster. The drywallers have come, they've seen, they've conquered. This place is looking better.
This is a quick refresher as to where we started. This bathroom was tiny. So I have already done the demo. You can go back and see that in a previous video, but I have removed the tile from the walls. I've removed the tile from the floors. I've pulled the vanity out. I have pulled the toilet out. My contractor has also come through and he has pushed through into the closet that was behind this space to create a little bit of a niche. This is going to be critical for making this bathroom feel much more spacious and useful. This was how it looked before the drywallers arrived. This is how the bathroom looks now. It is big and bright and beautiful. It is messy, but it is such a different space than when I left it. This whole area has been created. I know it is a little hard to see on camera, but the vanity is gonna go right underneath that outlet. My contractor has been nice enough to put down the concrete backerboard. That is necessary under tiles, especially large format tiles, because I don't want them to crack. What I am going to do today is I am going to tape all of the seams. That needs to set up for a day or two, and then I can come back and I can start laying the tile. This is my disclaimer that I am not a professional tiler. I have not done a ton of tile, but I have done enough tile. So this may not look super pretty while I'm working, but I am fairly confident that I'm doing all of the right steps. So I stand behind my work.
I've mixed up some mortar. I'm gonna let this sit for 5 or 10 minutes and then I'll go upstairs and I'm gonna tape the seams.
I will never understand how people do this without just getting covered with this stuff. The first thing I did was to drop my little spackle knife thingy, I think that's what it's called, into the bucket of mortar. I had to scrape off all of the joint compound that had fallen down when the drywallers were working, and then I'm coming in and I am taping the seams. So I'm putting the mortar down and then I am laying the tape. The point of backerboard, as I understand it, is not only to provide a mold resistant layer between the tile and the subfloor, but it is also to provide a surface so that the tile itself won't crack. So you want to tape the seams. You don't want this backerboard to be moving around because any movement under the tile is what will ultimately cause it to crack. I need to let the mortar and the tape to set up for a couple of days, but in the meantime, I was able to come in with my large format tile and just to lay it out and get a sense of where I was gonna need to make my cuts. I also realized, as you'll see next, that I had a ton of broken tiles, so I had to make sure I would even have enough. 10 years later, and I still forget there is a camera rolling. Ugh, you're welcome.
Oh, I could not be more frustrated. I opened up these boxes to see if tiles were broken, and I didn't want to unpack them entirely because I had to bring them up here. The top tile on the boxes was not broken, but then look, like all the others are broken.
I've actually never worked with tile that is this large format, and here's what I will say. It is so much easier. I only needed like 2 boxes of tiles. There weren't as many cuts required, and when I did have to make the cuts, they were so much easier than dealing with anything that is on a mesh. I have done lots of penny tile, and as pretty as that looks, it is so hard to install, correct? I was able to make all of the cuts in advance, which meant that when I was installing it, it went that much faster. Why are you cutting your tile in your kitchen, you might ask? Well, 2 reasons. First of all, this kitchen was totally a disaster at this point. Also, I was doing this on a day when there was this neighborhood sort of outdoor festival, and so anytime I ran the tile outside, I felt like I was being super loud because all the neighbors were outside having a good time. I used this little tool to figure out what the contour was for a few places where it was a little bit uneven. I'm not mixing the full bag of mortar, so I'm just mixing it to be the consistency that I have found works for me. So that is like a pudding peanut butter type of a thing. I'm using a 1/4 inch trowel. That is what was recommended to me for a large format tile like this. You will see me adding the mortar to both the floor and then doing something called back buttering, where I'm adding it to the tile itself. It's funny, these are the little gestures whenever I'm doing something that I haven't done a ton of, where I just feel really rookie. I mean, it's all going down and it's gonna be fine. fine, but if you watch someone who is a professional tiler, they do this so easily and seamlessly. I mean, I'm getting it done, but I am also getting mortar everywhere. You can't see it super well because it was such a small space, but notice that I'm putting those little gadgets on either side of the tile. I'm gonna show you what those are. Those are my spacers and my levelers. This goes down between the tiles, so your tile will go in here. So this acts a little bit as a spacer. Once the tile is in place, you shove this guy into that little hole. Yeah, insert all the jokes you want, guys. So you put this through here, and this will exert force that will pull the tiles together and make sure that they are level. There are pliers that you can use. I think I would actually recommend getting those. My hand, I had a couple blisters after doing this small little space. When the tile is dry and the mortar's set up, you just lightly tap or kick all the spacers. This will break off, you know, so this will be what I'll clean up. This is obviously under the tile so you don't see it. At first I tried to just kick them out of the way, but I had to ultimately go get a hammer, and I wrapped it with a little cloth or a towel so that when I was hammering, I wasn't scraping the tiles at all. One less thing for me to clean. The next weekend I came back to add the grout, and as you will see, nothing is ever easy when you DIY, right? Okay, that was frustrating. I ordered everything for pickup, and then what you saw happen was the grout, when I opened it up, was a fairly dark gray. That's not what I ordered, so I took that back. Now I have a different grout. I actually upgraded for a grout that has a sealer built in, so that's an extra step that I won't need to do. Per the directions on the package, I'm gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then I will take it up and get started. Here she is, and you can just see it sort of sticks to my knife. Listen, I am not a tiler, so I am open for constructive criticism or feedback, because I'm sure some of you are expert tilers, but this is what I'm doing. This was another reason that this large format tile was so amazing. When you're dealing with a smaller tile like a penny tile, there is so much more real estate between the tiles, so you just go through the grout a lot more. Because there weren't as many joints on this floor, I didn't really use that much grout. Filming in this space is almost impossible, but you've got to admit that this is a different bathroom. It is bright, it is cheerful, it has plenty of space. There's that little niche behind the vanity that you could use for laundry baskets. I thought about building shelves in there, but I ultimately decided that maybe the next homeowner would have an opinion, so I just left it as is. This space is not perfect, but it is so much better than it was, and given how old this home was, I think this type of an update is actually the smarter choice, and I am thrilled with how it turned out.